Welcome to Beyond the Design, where we explore the stories behind the artisans, visionaries, and innovators reshaping the world of interiors and design. I'm your host, Craig Beaumont Flynn, and today we're joined by Liz Barbatelli, a renowned linen stylist and the creative force behind Braun Beverly Hills. Welcome to the show, Liz.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and dive into your journey and cover the art of fine linens. So,
yes.
Braun has such a storied history from its beginnings in Vienna to its present location in Beverly Hills. Can you share how you became involved with this legacy brand and what drew you to fine linens?
Well, let's see. Growing up in an immaculately decorated home with all sorts of fine things around, made a natural transition for me from Wall Street to fashion, then to linens. And the store became available in 1988. And my cousin and I partnered together to buy the store and make the transformation from sort of an old carriage trade store that was very traditional and make it into more of a modern adventure and environment for people to come in and get linens. And so it's been really a fun journey. We're not partners anymore, but we still are very collaborative.
So given that you're doing fine linens, what is the market and where have you seen the industry gone from when you purchased it to today?
Well, the business is the same, but different. When we were growing up and we had, traditional linens with lightweight blanket covers with a blanket, a lightweight blanket cover, and maybe a quiltino of some sort at the end for extra warmth. We still do that, of course, but things have switched to, people have enjoyed learning more about duvets and duvet covers. And they like to have, most of our customers have simpler beds, but we always get the complaint of too many pillows, especially from the husbands, but on the bed. And, there's no easy care, particularly when you're dealing in luxury. So, things, they take time and they take effort to present and to live with. But right. we still honor all the old traditions of making a bed, setting a table, and accoutrement in your bathroom with monogram towels or embellished towels or plain. But, everything's evolves and all customers are different.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love lots of pillows.
Yeah.
Never enough. Well, what sparked your love for linen styling, and how has your 30-year journey shaped your approach to luxury design?
Well, the journey, as I said, began really in fashion, and I love fashion and clothes. And I think that translates into decorating and home. And we like to, curate the collection to be very collective of what people want now. And so we continuously are trying to evolve and keep it moving towards making things form with function. And that's really part of my big selling tool is that, right. All these things are really, really things that you can use every single day and that they enhance your life, completely. There's nothing better than, getting into your crisp bed, if that's what you like, or your silky bed, if that's what you like, and, or just really thirsty towels, or eating with I always believe in you should always have a cloth napkin, whether it's cotton or linen, things like that. So that's really important to convey to customers, and that these are just things that enhance your life.
It's the little things.
Exactly. The little things that you use every day. And, a lot of people sort of like to place a lot of importance on furnishings, but obviously these things that we use every day, we like to have, promote and have that and educate people that this is what, where you want to go because this is what you're really using.
True. Let me ask you a question, and it's off the cuff. How long should you change your bed?
How often?
Yeah, how often?
Well, that's really personal. We have customers that change their beds every day, or they change the shams every day. Of course, they have a lot of help.
Yeah.
They're not doing it themselves every morning. But, once a week is normal. Some people go every other week. And it really just depends. Do you have a dog? Is he on the bed? Do you have, do you have a husband or a partner? So,
and weather conditions, I assume as well.
Is it warm? Is it cold? Obviously, in the winter, you can maybe stretch it a little bit longer, but it all just depends. If you, do you sit on top of your bed, which I don't really, I've kind of frown upon, but,
right.
Because you're kind of smushing everything and then you're getting it all wrinkled and it's not looking nice. But people do what they do and we want them to be comfortable. And so that's where some of the pillows come in.
True. Well, Braun balances its heritage with a contemporary perspective. How do you keep that balance while innovating in today's design world?
Well, the balance is kind of a natural because, like we were discussing, having this just position between beauty and then practicality and form meeting function. You always want to honor the tradition. And obviously, there's only so many ways to set a table, make a bed, hang your towels in your bathroom. So, that tradition is always stays the same, but you want to stay current as to how people are living and how your different customers live. So, that it's very important to get to know your customer and what they, how they live and how do they want to present things, and do they want it to be really easy? Do they, do they have help? Can they get a little bit more complicated? Do they love to entertain? All these questions that come into play. And, that's how you stay relevant, is just by keeping up with the lifestyles of, people in general. It's a lot more casual now.
True.
For a lot of people. And so, but that doesn't mean that you can't have really nice napkins and very nice linens and towels that are really thirsty and beautiful. So it all plays a part.
True. Well, It also shows your appreciation of guests too. If you set the table with cloth napkins, or they stay over and you have really nice, luxurious towels for them to use, not shredded or holy ones or
not the hand-me-downs from your bathroom. Yeah. And, that we get that a lot is kind of like, well, it's only a guest room. And I'm like, well, okay, this is my philosophy, is to really make your guest room a nice sanctuary for your guests. And maybe have it even more special than their own home, which is, really inviting and taking care of people that are staying with you or visiting your house. And so that's, a really interesting perspective, where a lot of people say, well, it's just my guest room. But, the thing is, if you spend a little bit more there, it lasts for years.
True.
Because it doesn't get the same play that your room gets, so, and also your kids.
In the quality of craftsmanship, it's just like buying a nice pair of shoes that cost a little bit more, but they're going to last you 10 years versus 2 years,
That is very true, but I do also go with the philosophy, and part of my styling business is based on this is that it separates me from E. Braun. So I'm not married to everything from E. Braun and Company and that level of luxury, because while we have a very broad collection and we can make things in any fabric, whether it's, a lower quality up to the highest quality, it also gives me an opportunity to go to a lot of other places and resources that I might not go to if you just came in to me as E. Braun and Company, which is, really one of the reasons that I wanted to develop the styling business too.
Well, let's go into that styling business and walk us through the process of working with clients, designers, and architects to bring their vision to life and enabling them and showing them how what you can provide kind of elevates their project and their client experience that they're trying to design.
Well, that's a very important question. It also works, on the client end, the direct end user, because when working with interior designers, they have so many things going. Often they're involved, with the architect, with the actual building. Then they're trying to get all the furnishings together and then trying to do all these things at the last minute. I'm here to complement their design and to enhance it and to make it better. And sort of something that, Ronald Reagan always said, I hire smarter people than me so that I look good, and so obviously, everyone wants their own notoriety and to be treated, especially. But, when working with interior designers, it's their vision and how do I enhance that vision with them and for them, and then handle all of these details that often, they just are so stretched and they have so many things that they're trying to do at once that if they, they trust and they know me, they can pass it off to me. And obviously I make presentations to them and therefore to their clients, and it all works together. And then on installation day or when we're delivering, it's all done, and it's not this experience of rushing around.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops, last minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone forgot the towels.
Yeah, exactly. And, then they come in, you have these embellished towels in, green. And it's like, no, we don't. They're made to order. And so, that's part of it. So we try to educate and also just convey confidence to the client and to the interior designer that we're here to help them to enhance their project and to work with them.
Well, materiality is a huge component and important factor. Fine linens are all about the quality. What do you look for in materials, and how do you ensure every piece meets your impeccable standards?
Well, that's part of the tradition. It's that we haven't cut corners as to making our sheets smaller, not making them with returns. Sometimes the design doesn't have a return, but it's, we adhere to all these time-honored traditions of sewing and construction. And that's what really makes a difference to how things last. Because when you use smaller stitches to sew and you have better quality fabrics, then they last longer. So you might be spending the same as something, as something that's a lower quality, but ours lasts longer. Sometimes that's a curse because, our customers don't return soon enough. But, that's really how we stay relevant to the quality. But there are lots of fabrics out there that are, easy to work with and good to work with. But really the construction is so important.
Is there a go-to material or fabric that you like to incorporate or present to a client?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the personal preference of the client. So if you're talking, speaking about bedding, then, do they like a cool, crisp sheet, or do they like something a little bit more silky and satiny? And then that dictates. But to me, we've moved a lot to Pima cotton, which is a longer, stable cotton than regular Egyptian cotton. And then there's Giza, and then there's Sea Island. And those are the top quality for bedding. And then, of course, linen is the way to go for table linens.
Right.
And then, really beautiful towels, mostly made in Portugal, but we also have some Italian vendors that we work with that make really nice towels as well. So those we mostly embellish, but the ones from Portugal come in lots of colors and textures. And that's all, really important. But pure finish is important. And that means 100% cotton or linen of some sort, or silk. But there are, there's lots of variations. But those are my favorites.
Well, your Beverly Hills showroom serves as a canvas for your creative visions. Can you share a memorable project or collaboration where you helped transform a client's space?
Well, I have 2 projects I've worked on in the last few years. One was a mega yacht, and those are really fun because there's lots of different cabins. Right. There's indoor seating, outdoor seating. We can get into these fun leather baskets and that are made for yachts and made to be, outside, and all the accoutrement that goes with that. And then, there was a beauty parlor and a nail salon and a gym. And so you can get into all these fun areas. And that was really an exciting project. They also asked me to expand what I did and go into China, glass and silver, since I'm designing the linen, table linens especially. And that was really fun. And that got me started also with the styling and changing and expanding the business into another area. So to find all these resources, like a 7th generation silversmith in Austria, and a hand-painted China, hand-painted Limoges from France, and fun things, doing a custom design at Bernardeau, and all these fun things that you didn't really realize you could do until you started doing. And it's kind of been natural. My mom had tons, 7 or 8 sets of china. Yeah, so I was used to trying to put it together. And, our clients, we always ask for pictures. Well, what's your china? So then we can, we can design the linens around that. What does the room look like? Should it match the room, or should it match the dinnerware? So we play on all of those things, and we do both. So that was really fun. And then most recently, I did a 3-structure property in Montana with a really great designer who is does out of the box design, and just so wonderful and beautiful. And we collaborated on, with the fabrics they'd picked out and the furnishings, and how are we going to design the linens, and what are my suggestions, redesigned designs, and, did great colors, used colored sheets, which most people don't use, and, just really fun things. And we did a playroom in Houston with him. And I mean, just not a playroom like my playroom, that's for sure. Huh. Which was usually outside, but you know.
I think I may know. And you said this designer was in Montana?
No, they're in San Francisco.
Oh, in San Francisco. Okay. Well, you collaborate with some of the top designers and architects in the industry. What's the secret to fostering those successful partnerships?
Well, like I've been talking about all of it, it's really gaining, them understanding that I'm not here to compete with them. Mm-hmm. I'm here to enhance their project, and this trust that we develop, and working back and forth on understanding each one has their own personality, but also what are they trying to achieve on that project?
Right.
Asking lots of questions, looking at renderings, looking at furnishings and fabrics, so that, because sometimes they're doing something modern, sometimes they're doing something traditional or transitional, or, all these different, kinds of projects. So it's important. You have to know that to work with them. And that's just building the trust between the two of you and them, relying on you. Here's my design. What should I do? And that's really wonderful to have those relationships.
Can you tell us about any of the current projects you're working on?
Let's see. I don't have any. I do have an apartment in Monaco that I'm working on at the moment. And that's fun because they have kids, but they don't want the kids' bedrooms to look too juvenile, and they're European, and the designer is very directed in his design process. So it's fun to work on those kinds of projects with these brilliant designers, because it just elevates what you think and how you think about a project, and what can you do that's different, that's something a little bit innovative, but it's not going to over design on the design, because on the interior, because that they won't like that. So so it's really fun to work on those projects.
Have you seen the demand for luxury linens evolve over the years, and how has Braun adapted to meet those challenges?
Well, the word luxury, of course, as you know, has changed and is, I think many would agree that it's overused. When someone's selling luxury linens on the corner for $6.99 or $69.99 for a king set, it's a little different than the ones that we sell, So but everything's competition. But my feeling is that even something luxurious doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. It often is, of course. There's a difference, between a Maserati and a Chevy. No offense, Chevrolet, but there is difference, and same with the way that we make things. So it's important to understand that and to offer what you can to a certain degree, and then we can direct them other places to get things that we don't necessarily do. But it's important to evolve to communicate why people want the luxury or the higher quality item. And that's what we try to do. And that's through education and just showing beautiful things and working with our clients directly.
And I would assume it's also longevity. It's not so much throwaway as well as other product. You might pay a higher price for the quality and craftsmanship, but it's also the longevity of how long that's going to sustain itself as well, because of the time and the materiality that's been put into making that product.
Yes, and that's a really important point. A lot of people, or there's a lot of talk on the news and, on talk shows and about the, all the young people now want these throwaway society. And of course, we don't believe in that at all. I'm purporting that you don't use paper napkins at all. I want you to use cotton or linen napkins. They don't have to be fancy. You don't have to iron them, but use those. You're helping to sustain the environment.
Right.
You're not wasting paper. You're not, it's kind of the whole thing with the plastic bottles, have people having to move to the metal and glass that they keep over time. So I think that everyone goes through their phase, and as they're younger, they're discovering things. Maybe they grew up, very fortunate, but maybe not. And so they have to discover those things. And hopefully they want to learn and learn to appreciate them, as I think they do as they get older. So, most of our clients are, I'd say, over 40. But
it's also, I think, maybe more appreciation factor too of those that are making the craft is employing people that with an essence of artistry,
That's so true. We have industries that are going to die in Madeira, particularly in Portugal, where we used to make very traditional table linens. And there's a few people that still want them, but generally they haven't been able to evolve. But even now, they used to be able to redesign. Every tablecloth is done custom size. And now she's told us that she doesn't have an artist that can redesign to different table sizes. So we're basically doing placemats and napkins, which I personally love. So for me, it's not so much of a problem, but a lot of people like tablecloths. And so we have to go to other resources where we can do that. And, we have a weaver in Nepal, and, to keep those guys in business, they're up there in the mountains,
right,
with their yaks and and their cashmere and weaving on these old weaving, machine. And, it's fantastic, but they're always asking us for orders because they have to sustain life.
Right.
Yeah. So it's fun to be able to do that and carry that on for them.
Well, with Braun's longstanding history, how do you honor its classic styles while continuing to innovate and appeal to new generations of customers?
Well, that's something that we've been doing over the years by developing more plain fabrics. So what I was talking about with the Sea Island, the Pima, and then Egyptian cotton and the Giza. So people that come in, they have a choice if they want something plain or they want to embellish on those. But a lot of our designs, the pendulum kind of swang all the way to very contemporary. And then as we developed all these contemporary designs, which a lot of times I developed the embroideries myself because I can do them faster and better than some of my vendors who are trying to appease all around the world.
Right.
And we know what we want, and we work directly with, designers and end users that we see what their trends are going and what people want. But then we had to start adding back in some traditional designs and some florals and things because everything had gone so modern, and you have to, bring it back. So you have to see what's out there and keep discovering and keep watching and talking to people all the time.
We're so affected by so many elements now: social media, TV, print, influencers. The trends are always changing, and the line between trends and design, it just is kind of fading away because it's all over because of everything around us, I think.
It's true. I'm trying to figure out, should I do something on TikTok, and how is that how is that going to work? Jump in my bed or but you have all these influences out there, and just trying to keep up and saying, how can I accommodate that? How would that work in my business? That kind of thing. It's frustrating and fun all at the same time.
Right. Well, that's why the word classic, comes into play. If it's a classic, it's never going to fade away. It's timeless.
True. But it's relative. It's also fun there are some classic retro designs, that have been around for forever. And, often sometimes people come in and I like a design that we've had for 35 years. And you're like, oh my God, it's still relevant. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, classic is key if you don't want to be replacing things based on trends all the time.
Well, with E. Braun's rich history and your leadership, what's on the horizon for the brand? And are there any exciting projects or expansions in the works?
We're always trying to expand the business, and that was part of the linen styling. I've thought for a long time, people have interior designers to decorate their homes. They have fashion stylists, and often, I had thought people need linen stylists. They often come in, they don't know what they want, they don't know what they need, how many should they have, and that's one part of the expansion of the business. And of course, I like to move around the world, so I'm trying always to figure out how can I get to the Middle East more often without them having to come in here, and how can I develop those relationships versus just opening another store in Orange County or something like that. I sometimes think beyond California.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a small little world.
It is. Shipping goes everywhere.
True. When you look back on your career and your work with E. Braun, what do you hope your impact will be on the industry and your clients?
Well, I do often hope that my love for the beautifully functioning home and the sustainable home continues to grow, and that people understand how the products that I, let's say, what should I say, that I promote or suggest for people, that how that will help them to sustain and to live this beautiful life.
So what's next for you and E. Braun?
Well, that's always the $1 million question, isn't it? We always have, for many years, I've toyed with going online, but I really think that the way that we work best is directly with customers. Whether
very tactile too, you have to touch it, you have to see it, and yeah,
and that's part of the as I keep saying, for years everyone's like, oh, you have to educate. I'm like, yeah, we've been trying to educate people all the time, and it is teaching people and letting them feel it, because people come in and they say, what should I get? And I'd said, well, here, let's feel these fabrics. Which ones do you like? Right. And then they pick the one that they like, and then we move on to design. Yeah, because it's very important.
Is there a favorite fabric you like to work with?
Well, every fabric is different. I mean, every classification is different. So, but cotton and linen, I'd say, are the, for us, the go-to fabrics. Obviously, for throws and things, I love cashmere. And I've expanded into alpaca, and I do merino wool blankets, but really cashmere throws, are the best. And then, of course, linen is for table. So, but
must have linen for every home.
The must have linen for every home is a cloth napkin. I mean,
one more time, Liz.
Well, it's,
I agree with you. I fully agree with you.
I just, it's really funny because every once in a while I'm like, oh, I don't have any paper napkin. I have to rip off a paper towel or something if I'm really, just, I don't know why, but sometimes it's really messy or whatever, but it doesn't really matter because with cotton or linen, you just throw it in the washer.
Yeah.
And it comes clean. So people are so worried, I can't get the stain out. I won't get this out. And then it's like, it'll come out. Don't worry. And if it doesn't, it's well used,
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
your personal dream project or collaboration?
Let me think here for a minute. I did write something down. So can I look?
Sure.
What number question was that?
Oh, it's 16.
Oh, yeah. Okay, wait. Oh, 16. Oh, yeah. I know. Sorry.
That's right.
I should be able to remember this one. I love to go to Christian Dior when I'm in Paris. And Mrs. Brenner died a few years ago and she ran the home area. And that would be, my dream would be to be the creative director for Christian Dior Maison. I just think that would be, I think there's so many cool things that they could do and expand. And, they have the reach and that would be really, really fun. And the other thing is to work, and this would work with Christian Dior, to work with contemporary artists and to develop designs. People like Pei White or, a friend of mine, Matsu, who's doing things all over the world and murals and videos and did some fabrics and some special designs recently and clothing. And, but there's so many great artists out there to collaborate with. And in fact, I do work with one already, but, that would be a dream direction to expand into.
That would be.
Yeah. So
what's a design rule you'd love to break?
That things that are great don't always have to be expensive. Not necessarily in my store, but
caveat there, small caveat.
Yeah, a small caveat. But in general, it's something to remember that that it's about joyful enjoyment of your life, and not everything does have to be expensive. Often they are, especially when you get to a certain point in your life or a level, but it really doesn't have anything to do with income. Often people have one thing rather than having 10 because they want the higher quality. But in general, that's kind of a rule of mine. And if you see something that you really love and it's not expensive, but it's going to bring you joy, go for it. Do it. I don't know.
What are you most surprised about that you've learned on this journey of yours?
Well, I could be really cynical and say it's still a man's world. But, I think...
That's not cynical. It's true. Unfortunately, it's true.
I know. It is. I think women have made huge inroads and gained a lot more respect, especially even if they decide to stay at home, which I think is, really important. But that's something that for a longer philosophical conversation, I think. But but I don't know. I don't have that many surprises along the way. I mean, there's challenges in business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, maybe I should have phrased it that way. What are you most surprised about when you purchased the business that you didn't know that you've kind of has enlightened you and you've grown from?
I remember when I first started and I would go to my father's office and I was like, Dad, can you help me with this? And he said, you learned that in business school. And I said, yeah, but it's a lot different out here in the
real world.
In the real world. When I design these things on paper and make them work financially, and that's the big part of it. And I was very lucky to have both of my parents, my mom with her design sense and artistry, but she was also an accountant and she could help me through those times. But my father was in, finance, and to have that help to run your business and help you to design the procedures that you need to meet all the financial challenges is really important, because designing a pretty store and getting the merchandise is the easy part. Making it work financially is much more difficult.
True.
And they can go hand in hand. I mean, they should go hand in hand if you're in tune with what your product line is and your clients and getting your message out. But a lot of businesses fail because they were mismanaged financially. And that's, the biggest challenge was really that. And then, being a woman in business can be difficult, but in my line of work, luckily there's a lot of women businesses. So it's often that you work with women and women owned, especially the Italians. So, yeah.
I had a train of thought. Oh, okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience or tell us about Braun?
I think that people have a misconception about Braun and Company, and they think everything that we have is expensive. And that's true to a certain extent, but not everything is over the top, has to be, super embellished. And things don't take as long as they think, but there is planning that needs to be involved. And, we have a lot of creativity, and we can help you to achieve what you want to achieve with your home and really create a beautiful, functional home that will bring you joy. And that's really what our goal is. So,
well, Liz, I want to thank you for coming on the show today and sharing your story and Braun. And it was a pleasure meeting you and having the time to spend with you.
Thank you so much. You as well. You very thought-provoking.
I try. Well, let me ask one more last question. Where can anyone find Braun if they're listening to us?
Well, we have a website, braunbeverlyhills.com. I'm on Instagram, liz.barbatelli, as well as Braun Beverly Hills. We do Pinterest. We have LinkedIn. Like I said, we don't do TikTok, but maybe I'll start. But there's our website is filled with lots of our designs and how to, helping you to select things, and also just lots of different articles on thread count and how should you launder something? How do you iron? All these things. So that's
how-tos and tips.
Yeah, what you can find there, and then we're always here to help you, and we can help you over the phone and long distance.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you, Liz, and we will chat soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us on Beyond the Design. A huge thank you to Liz Barbatelli for sharing her journey, insights, and artistry behind fine linens and Braun Beverly Hills. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories from the creators and curators shaping the design world. Until next time, I'm your host, Craig Beaumont Flynn. See you beyond the design.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.